In 1883, the Brooklyn Bridge opened as the eighth wonder of the world. This magnificent steel and stone giant stretched across the East River, connecting Manhattan and Brooklyn. At 1,595 feet long, it was the longest suspension bridge ever built, and New Yorkers couldn't stop marveling at this engineering miracle. Among the crowds admiring this wonder was George C. Parker, a dapper gentleman with sharp eyes and a silver tongue. Well-dressed in a fine suit and carrying a leather briefcase, Parker saw not just a bridge, but the opportunity of a lifetime. He was about to become America's most audacious con artist. Parker's favorite targets were wealthy tourists and immigrants who gazed up at the bridge in wonder. "Magnificent structure, isn't it?" he would say with the confidence of a true owner. "I actually built this bridge as a private investment. Would you be interested in purchasing it?" Parker wasn't just smooth talking, he was prepared. He carried forged documents with official seals, fake receipts showing toll collections, and could quote the bridge's construction costs down to the penny. His sales pitch was a masterclass in deception, complete with insider information about future profits. Parker would personally escort potential buyers across the bridge, pointing out his investment and explaining where toll booths would be installed. He knew every cable, every stone, every engineering detail. To his victims, he seemed like the genuine owner, sharing his pride and joy. For his most wealthy marks, Parker arranged meetings at a lawyer's office, actually a rented room with impressive law books and fake credentials on the walls. His accomplices, dressed as legal experts, would verify the authenticity of the sale and handle the complex legal paperwork. William McClundy, a wealthy farmer from Iowa, was Parker's most successful mark. After 3 days of convincing demonstrations, McClundy paid $50,000 in cash, equivalent to over $1.5 million today, believing he had purchased the world's most famous bridge. The next morning, McClundy arrived at the bridge with workers and materials to build toll collection booths. When police officers stopped him, asking what he was doing, McClundy proudly announced that he was the new owner of the Brooklyn Bridge. The officers had seen this before. The police officers, experienced with Parker's victims, gently explained that the bridge belonged to the city of New York and that McClundy had been swindled. The devastating realization hit the farmer like a physical blow. He had lost his life savings to America's smoothest con artist. McClundy wasn't alone. Parker had an assembly line of victims. A German businessman planned to dismantle the bridge and ship it to Europe. Chicago investors wanted to install moving sidewalks. One victim even hired painters to advertise on the bridge towers before being arrested. Parker's success inspired imitators throughout New York. Soon, con men were selling the Statue of Liberty to tourists, Madison Square Garden to investors, and Central Park to oil barons. The city had never seen such audacious landmark fraud. The scam became so common that the NYPD created a special unit just to deal with landmark fraud. Police stations near major attractions kept stacks of form letters explaining to victims that they had been conned and that all bridges, parks, and monuments belonged to the city. Parker's greed eventually caught up with him. He expanded beyond bridges into fake company shares and forged government bonds. In 1908, he was finally caught by federal agents and sentenced to life in Sing Sing prison, where his legendary con career finally ended. Even in prison, Parker couldn't stop scheming. Guards had to watch him carefully because he kept trying to sell his cell to new inmates, claiming it had the best view in the prison and premium ventilation. Some habits die hard, even behind bars. The Brooklyn Bridge con became so famous that it entered American language forever. If you believe that, "I've got a bridge to sell you," became the ultimate way to call someone gullible. A criminal scheme had created an immortal piece of American culture. What made Parker's con so effective wasn't just his charm or forged documents, it was his understanding of human psychology. His victims wanted to believe they were getting an incredible deal, that they were smarter than other investors, and that they had discovered a secret opportunity. The scam revealed America's Gilded Age mentality. This was an era of rapid industrialization, massive fortunes made overnight, and spectacular engineering achievements. In a world where robber barons owned railways and steel magnates controlled cities, owning a bridge didn't seem impossible. Today, millions of tourists walk across the Brooklyn Bridge annually, most unaware they're treading on the scene of history's most famous real estate scam. The bridge stands as both an architectural marvel and a monument to American ingenuity and gullibility. George C. Parker's story reminds us that some things never change. If a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. And if someone offers to sell you a famous landmark for cash, you might want to check the deed first. The Brooklyn Bridge has survived everything. Parker's cons, 2 world wars, countless storms, and over 140 years of New York traffic. It remains what it always was, a public bridge belonging to all New Yorkers, never truly owned by any individual, no matter how smooth their sales pitch. And somewhere in the city below, you can bet there's still a con man looking up at those Gothic towers and thinking, I wonder if anyone would believe I own that bridge. The legend of George C. Parker lives on, a reminder of America's eternal optimism and occasional naivete.